I watched Joker 2 at the opening night IMAX screening in Grove.
Get ready for a dramatic reading, chat.
And the fanboys were nowhere to be found. This guy went to a cinema, and you know all those comic book fans? They didn't turn up. And so, what you end up with is, this guy was asked, will anyone review the Joker, Folie or Deux? After an interminable silence with no takers, I reluctantly raised my hand. This guy is a victim of his own pissing job. Nobody else wanted to review this movie, but he took it on with his own heart. He sacrificed himself, chat. He is the hero of this piece.
Oh my god.
I figured that the Friday night showing of The Grove would be a good template for how the Joker sequel will be playing across the country. 20 minutes ahead of showtime, I went through and I said, despite the fact that this Joker has had 12 hours before the film received a D cinema score, surely some of the reviews would have been good. And so I asked the helpful attendant, did you expect this movie to be seen? I was, until I saw the reviews. Can you imagine the horror that this guy has gone through? He sacrificed himself to make a review of a movie that nobody's going to see. And so, the primetime videos, the Dolby, they tend to sell out, and a Dolby screen was about to begin. The trailers were praying, even an object for IMAX screening in 45 minutes. And that meant he could actually ask people, what did you think of the movie? He was obviously scared about buying a ticket to see the Joker 2, because don't you understand, the seats were still limited, but abundant. Because that makes sense. Limited things are always abundant. That's what limited means. And so I would have preferred a seat near the exit. It was a Joker movie after all. And the Aurora gunman, dressed up as a deranged villain, is still fresh in his memory. This guy was scared for his life. He was sacrificing himself on the altar of the Joker review, and you should thank him for that. Alas, a mid-aisle seat was all I could do. It was all I would have to put up with. There was time to kill.
What the heck is wrong with this guy?
Oh no. This is the intro.
Oh god. There's more.
It gets worse.
There's more.
It gets so much worse. You see, there was time to kill, so I approached the patrons that were leaving the screenings. And I thought I'd ask them about their review. It was no megalopolis, said one young man.
Oh my god, no
At first, it was unclear if he meant this as a compliment or an insult. But then he clarified that he loved Megalopolis. Well, that was nice. He found the one fan of that movie. It was definitely funny. I'm not sure if it was intentional. But I had a laugh. That sounds like I went to the movie and reviewed it. It was funny, but other people won't like it, just me. Another young man named Landon, wearing an apropos t-shirt that read, only anarchists are pretty. A literal,
What?
and I'm not joking when I say this, a literal, scientific disproved fact. It is literally proven that anarchists are the ugliest people in the world.
Look it up.
This is... No, unironically, right-wing people are the most attractive people in the world. So this is literally proof. Well, it makes sense, because if you're weak and vulnerable and a victim, then you're left-wing, which means it's going to attract those people. If you believe that only the strongest will survive, you are the most attractive people. Because attractive people have advantages. I didn't notice any of the comic book-seeming people. It's kind of telling, isn't it? I didn't notice any Joker fans in the audience. Because, you know, you can see Joker fans. You can see comic book people. Comic book people have a certain look about them. You can probably tell them by the flies. That's the, you know, the flies and, like, the fat women which kind of orbit them. That's probably how you're going to tell a comic book fan, you know. Like those Marvel and DC fans, right? You know, because Iron Man and the Joker, the multi-billion-dollar franchise... There's no normal people that like those. No, it's just those. It's just the comic book seeming people. The first Joker had a lot of those, like, wink, wink, like this Bruce Wayne kind of things. It didn't have that in this, right? It didn't have any comic book references in this movie. It didn't have any of the demographic that you'd expect to show up. You know those fat slobs? The fat slobs with the flies around them that kind of repulse people? They didn't turn up to this movie, you know? But it makes sense, considering that this movie is a lot like Lincoln. Yeah, it's basically the same movie as Lincoln.
What?
I've never seen the Lincoln movie. I don't actually know what he means. It doesn't sound complimentary, though.
No.
These, especially, it says
I don't know
these
what he
movies.
means.
These, well, I think Lincoln is a, I think it's a political. I assume it's a political movie. These reviews don't bode well for the $200 million that needs to attract all 4 quadrants. It needs to attract the entire audience, not just like, you know, the hipsters, you know, the people that people look down on, those kind of people that want to be, the kind of people where there's a news article about how somebody is basically stealing somebody else's home, they're squatting in another property, and like, I hope those scum get what they deserve. The kind of movie that the first movie was meant to despise, those are the people that like the movie. Everyone else, yeah, they need to attract normal people. Speaking of the budget, didn't see the massive capital as outlay translating on screen. They kind of gave him a blank check. 200 million, it takes place in 4 locations. Like, where did the money go? Gaga and Phoenix probably took it. The jail cells?
Dan says the Daniel Day-Lewis drama for the Lincoln movie. What? I'm not familiar with that.
I don't know.
Maybe that's
I'm
what
assuming
he's
some kind of
referring to.
political
No
thing.
idea.
Yeah, no idea.
But there is something true in this, that the entire movie takes place across a few sets. There is no reason for it to cost $200 million.
No, absolutely not.
It must have gone to the director,
And the,
200
Gaga,
million?
and Phoenix. Those
They're
that,
mostly
I don't
like
know
in the
where else it could have
jail,
gone.
right? So I didn't see it, so I can't.
Well, there's
but,
no
like, there
special
wasn't-
effects, so
Okay.
it's just a few sets,
All
and
right.
that's it.
Wow.
Either way, I'm telling you, if you think this isn't the worst part, I went through, I surveyed the crowd and questioned if I was in the right theatre, because the vast majority of the couples, straight, gay, young, middle-aged, because that's how you judge couples, right? You don't just judge them whether they're like 2 people together. No, obviously you have to narrow them down to their diminutive groups. They were holding hands, cuddling. This is about a psycho basher. In fact, I hadn't seen this many couples in a theatre since How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And then,
Barbenheimer, just saying.
this is literally the most unhinged paragraph I've ever read in my
God.
life in any movie
Seriously?
review
Here
ever.
we go. Hold on.
The couple to my right, 2 men, because that's important to point out for some reason, they moved to 2 empty seats to my right after the trailer was ended. But a minute into the movie, another couple, male and female, because that's important to point out in this,
Apparently.
what is going to happen, turn into basically a catfight, arrived and wanted their rightful seats. And so you had the male and female attack the 2 men who were sitting down in the seats that they hadn't even bought.
Why
They
is this in
stood.
the article?
I have no
I
idea.
know what's.
They stood directly in front of me, arguing, resulting in me missing the most of the animated intro. Once the heterosexual couple nestled into their seats, they started to get busy. Really busy.
Get
Kissing.
busy.
What the
Talking.
heck?
Ignoring the movie altogether. Those assholes. At one point,
dare them.
they were spooning.
Disgusting.
How dare they? With their seats fully reclined, the woman and the man's hand stretching directly into my territory. My fears of catching a mass shooter were replaced by landing an STD
Oh my God.
by proximity.
What the
Hell!
heck?
That's
Who
not how
wrote this.
Diseases work, buddy.
Jeez.
But it goes on, throughout the screening, people kept moving, people were coming, going, they went to the bathroom, they were talking, nobody really cared. There was no cheers, there was no laughters. Nobody seemed to enjoy the movie. There was no singing along with the recognizable songs.
Oh my
Ahead of the
God.
screening, the gay couple to my right agreed that they'd give me their full take of the Joker. But as soon as the credits rolled, they made a beeline for the exit, with the most of the rest of the theatre. Only 5 patrons watched to even bother to see the names of the people who toiled on this ambitious project, shot here in their own hometown. I made my way to the only person who looked like a potential
Oh
fanboy.
God!
The
I feel like
one
it'll be for
person in
me.
the audience who looks like he may have liked comics.
Oh,
The one
jeez.
person of the 5 full people that remained in the cinema.
I know.
An
People
empty-
left after the film finished.
Wow,
empty
most
bucket
people
of-
do.
An empty bucket of popcorn in his hand as the lights ramped up. Again, I misjudged. I thought this person was a fanboy. You know those fanboys. The one that I really liked. The one that I described as, where is it? Oh, do I need to search for the word sweaty? Yes, the sweaty fanboy masses. That's who we was looking for at the end of the cinema.
The sweaty fanboy masses. Okay.
Yeah, those people are the ones he looked for. Where was it? Through the screening, ahead of the screening, I made my only way.
Oh my god, this article
this
is
is
giving
the,
me.
So this is the one person who looked part of the potential sweaty fanboy masses. An empty bucket of popcorn in his hand as the lights came up. Again, I misjudged. He was not a self-described fanboy at any stretch. He just liked the first film. What an arsehole. This wasn't even a sweaty fanboy. This was just a guy that watched the first movie and thought, I will give them my money to watch the second. Yeah, this was just a person. Because
And
most people are people. This is the
Most
person that the movie needs to appeal to.
So
A
you
guy
just
who
made fun of a normal dude who liked the previous movie.
Yes.
That's rude.
Because under their demographic, the first movie was only liked by a random load of incels and like decrepit freaks. Whereas what it was actually liked by was men. Because what they don't want to admit is that over like the last 150 years, systematically there has been a systematic attack on masculinity. And so by the time you get to 2024 or 2019 in this case, there was a systematic attack on men as a whole. And so you're just talking about normal people. You're talking about half the population who also look at that person and go, yeah, we were treated kind of crap, weren't we? And they realize that I actually understand the impetus. Like, I didn't agree with the message, but I can appreciate how he got there. I can understand how it happened. And they didn't like that. It was that point that they disliked. It was that point that they fought against. So this is just a normal bloke that they found in the cinema. It's like, I showed up another outing of unabashed nihilism. It was long, but enjoyable, was his overall critique. Struggled with his fellow theatergoers and their lack of engagement. You see, there were people next to me, like they were whispering and talking, hugging and kissing. How dare they? How dare a couple kiss in a Don't they understand? They're supposed to be depressed. You're supposed to hate this movie. This movie is supposed to break the back of you.
Wait. Do you remember back in the day in like high school, kids used to go to the cinema to get their nookie on?
Yes.
How does this person not understand that?
Because they didn't get the nookie. That's apparently clear.
What was the movie for me? What was it? Death Rider? There's a
Hey, Death Rider.
There was the flaming skull bike guy. I don't remember any.
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider. I don't remember any of that movie. I remember everything that happened in the cinema. I remember none of that movie.
Because he was getting a death ride of his own.
Yes, I was in university at that. I was in the first year of university at that time. That's what ages me. I remember her very well.
But like, how dare a couple kiss in a movie theater?
Exactly.
Oh
How
my
dare
God.
you? This movie is trash. How dare you be more interested in the person next to you? And I'm just like, why are you spending $50 plus concessions to come here to watch? I mean, literally, the judge is hit in the back of the head. And then as soon as it's done, they're whispering. And then the Joker and Harley Quinn tell a joke. And you kiss her? And it was just like, what is happening next to me?
His life is horrible.
This guy has found the one depressed single person. He has unironically found the one depressed incel in the entire cinema that he could finally be like, you're just like me, for real, for real.
Can we be friends?
Yes, everyone else in the cinema is just like, this is a crap movie, followed by a movie they actually liked, but he finally found the one person like him. The other person who, as he said in the office, is the one person who actually had some free time to do it. Everybody else, after the interminable silence, there were no takers. Everybody else had something else to do except Tatiana Siegel. She didn't. And
I
then
was really hoping it was a boy who wrote this article. Now it sounds even more unhinged.
No, I don't. And you know why? Because I'm not a complete arsehole. I hope Tatiana found that one lonely man in the cinema who had no one else to go and see it with. And I hope they live a happy life together. Because Tatiana, that is your level. That is who you deserve to be with. That is how you will be happy. That you will never accept. That you will never do better than. That is why you wrote this article. And that is why you will never understand the point of the first Joker.
That was a beautiful, dramatic reading.
Thank you.
Good job.
If only Tatiana could understand it, maybe they wouldn't be a miserable, depressed cow for the rest of their entire life.
I think Tatiana needs to get laid. You know, lots of problems can be solved by getting laid.
Well, this is the entire point. When that guy was like, is the Acolytes the gayest Star Wars series? I'm like, I hope it is. I hope it is, because you've given the best reviews ever, and you are my favorite interviewer of all time. And there is a dramatic, horrible thing that the media do to us, that for some reason they think that I don't like them in the media. I support you with every fiber of my being. I want you to do exactly what you have been doing. I want you to live the miserable, unfulfilled lives you've been living for years, because I want everybody to see exactly where your ideology leads. And I want that to create the new future so that we never have to live through everything else again. Because unlike everybody else, unlike yourself, I don't want other people to grow up in the period of time that I did. I want other generations to be better than my childhood was. And the problem with it all is you people, which are literally like, oh my God, why don't people like the Joker too? Because it's horrible, it's horrific, and it's designed to break your very spirit. And this is the kind of person which is the problem. It's the kind of person hired in Hollywood which is the problem. And until everybody realizes that we need to spam society with this crap, until everybody is fed up with it, it's never going to change.
Well said.
Can we add a grapefruit to that as well with Tatiana? I think that would help her.
I think Tatiana would do really well with the grapefruit.